Good evening, everyone. Before we begin this presentation, I would like to extend a big thank you to Tina Laughlin for assisting me in my research and for putting up with my shenanigans. I would like to thank Dr. Travis Heath and Dr. Rose Barraza for attending as members of the graduate committee. Without them, I would not be able to achieve any goals that I have accomplished, and I appreciate them for giving me the opportunities to develop and expand on my skills as a musician and as an academic. So, this presentation is the performer's guide to Alice Gomez's solo marimba works. And the reason why I picked Alice Gomez amongst the large pool of marimba composers is composers like Gordon Stout or Michael Burritt or Keiko Abe, is that a majority of the pool of research has already kind of been dedicated to them. And so I picked someone who isn't necessarily obscure, but also isn't researched as much as she should be. I started off learning four-mallet marimba music my freshman year of college, and it was up to my devices on what repertoire I can pick. And I had not even heard of Alice Gomez until I started attending Northeastern Illinois University. So I always ask myself the question of if I discovered this music before, how would I be better? Would I be worse? I do not know. So the woman in question is Alice Gomez. And Alice Gomez was born in 1960 into a family of musicians in San Antonio, Texas. Her father was a musician. He was a trombone player for the U.S. Army Band, and he also owned his own dance band. After he retired from the Army, he got his degree in music education and worked in the public education system. Alice Gomez is the youngest of four, and she was the percussionist of the family. Her mother was the singer, and her sisters were piano and violin, respectively. A portion of Alice Gomez's catalog does have these duets for marimba and these other instruments, along with ensemble music, and just a large catalog of small ensemble chamber music. She composed the pieces so she could perform with her family members. She studied at the University of San Antonio, where she took lessons with their percussion instructor, on top of a very, very important woman in her life by the name of Marilyn Rife. Marilyn Rife, at the time, in the 1990s, was the principal percussionist for the San Antonio Symphony Orchestra, and Alice was very honored to be able to work with her. They had become incredibly close and worked on a variety of different solos and percussion ensemble pieces, two of which, not the percussion ensemble pieces, but two solos that I will perform for you tonight. One of the jobs that Alice was taking on at the time was a lab tech position with the science department. At that lab, she had met two other very important people in her life, Dr. Barbara Stanford and Dr. Virginia Thompson, who both were microbiologists. Even though Alice was majoring in music at the time, she had become very close. Unfortunately, both Dr. Stanford and Dr. Thomas are deceased, and one of Alice's compositions that I will perform for you tonight is in commemoration of them. Alice served as an associate professor at the San Antonio Community College, where she taught American history, composition, improvisation, percussion performance, and also directed a Latin jazz ensemble. As a performer, she performed professionally with a variety of music groups, including the San Antonio Early Music Ensembles, the Symphony Orchestra, and to this day is a sought-after marimba performer and steel pan performer. She is also serving as a commissioned composer for a wide variety of different ensembles. She has written 12 marimba solos, and I will be considering 7 of them tonight. The piece at the beginning I performed was a piece called Gitano. Gitano is the Spanish word for gypsies. This was written in 1985 and was Alice Gomez's first marimba solo. So, what are gypsies? They're not the characters in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I'll tell you that. But Gypsies they have become very prevalent in the 1400s, where they were spotted in all over Europe. They have become associated with themes of mysticism and theft throughout the years. The two movements of Gitano are very contrasting in design. If you heard the first movement movement is incredibly energetic and technically challenging, where the second movement was more relaxed and melodic. At least I hope I came across like that. Though theoretically the piece doesn't have the complexities found in other works written around that time, through compositions like Jacob Druckmann's Reflections on the Nature of Water or Gordon Stout's Astral Dance, a first and second year marimba player may find difficulties maintaining the melodic motifs in the right hand found in the first movement, and I am recovering as we speak. So I'd like to introduce the next piece I'm going to perform for you. It's called Rain Dance. Now, rain dances, you usually hear about them like in grade school. You learn about them when you're studying Native American history, but they're a lot more complicated than I first perceived. Rain dances were a ritual devised by a variety of different Native American tribes during the dry seasons of August in order to call upon the nature to be blessed with rain. The Pueblos had a very intricate rain dance that involved much more specific movements because they were from the southwest west region of the United States. The legend of the rain dance states that droplets of rain from where the rain would fall, the spirits of the past chiefs of that tribe would battle evil spirits on the transitional plane. This is the reason why rain dances are considered to be an extreme uncommon form of worship and by the specific dancers involved. Because these traditions were passed down orally, it means that the specific reasoning behind the movements that you would see in a rain dance and the attire that they use aren't really discernible, but an evolution of tradition has taken place since those times. The piece Rain Dance has become a standard in the marimba repertoire for its beautifully designed melody and complex juxtaposition in its variations. This is one of Alice Gomez's most frequently performed marimba solos, and it was also the first one that she co-wrote with Marilyn Rife. And now I will present Rain Dance. The next piece I'd like to talk about is a piece called Imbira Song. Now, does anyone in the audience know what an Imbira is? You can raise your hand or... Thank you. So an Imbira is the common nomenclature used among non-African performers of the instrument, and there are many names of the instrument, such as the sanji, the lekembe, or the kalimba. The literal translation for the instrument is the aggregate of wood slaps or metal tongues. The Imbira, as an ancient instrument, has its roots in Uganda and is grounded in the mythology of the Dan. The Dan people, I mean, not Dan, the people named Dan. The instrument was associated with magic and the spiritual world, giving good fortune to those who could master the instrument. The spirits of legend would instruct a man who was alone in the world on how to build the instrument and master the instrument. Towards the end of these stories, the lonely man would be surrounded by people enjoying the sounds, and the lonely man is full of life and filled with good fortune. So the moral of these stories tends to be learn how to play a musical instrument and you'll have friends. And with that, I would like to play Imbira Song. in case you haven't seen a mbira before, this is what the mbira looks like. If you can see right over here, these are the keys of the instrument. This is also known as a thumb piano. They make a wide variety of them, from toy ones to professional-looking ones like this. Over here, you'll see this bar here that keeps the keys in place, and this lower bar, this is what creates the mbira's iconic buzzing sound. These, along with this bar, also contribute to the buzzing sound. And this hole right here indicates that this is a mbira that has depth to it. So this would be our resonator box, and the soundboard itself would be the entirety of the instrument. So, with that, the hardest part of this presentation for me. Not because of the difficulty of the music, but because of the pronunciations of Spanish. So, at the end of the night, I had to talk about flamenca as a dance style. So, in the end of the 19th century and during the 20th century, a gypsy by the name of Juana Vargas, also known as Mama Caron, was born in 1870 in Jerez de la Frontera by her Gitano parents. Remember, Gitano is the word for Spanish gypsy. Ramona and Juan. Ramona was a flamenco singer, and Juan was a flamenco guitarist. She started performing the dance flamenco with her family until she was discovered by a man by the name of Silviero Francanetti, who was one of the first flamenco singers and owned what's called a cafe cantante. A cafe cantante is what we in America call a bar, where she was sought after by many tourists all over the world. Juana Vargas was an influence on flamenco and Spanish popular culture, and had caught the eye of the entire world. If you want to get a good look, this is Juana Vargas. It was thanks to her dancing that flamenco as an art style became an integral part of the popular culture of Spain today. And with that, marimba flamenca. Next up, we have some of the less challenging repertoire that comes from Alice Gomez, 3 concert pieces. The 3 concert pieces in question are Celtic Rondo, Marambula, and Etude on C7. Celtic Rondo is written in a standard Celtic style, where it is written in Dorian, usually D Dorian. It has wide ranges of melodic jumps, and it is a call and response piece. Marambula shares a similarity with the Mbira, and the Marambula has its roots in the Orient, Cuba. I think I still, nope, I don't have the picture, never mind. In the 19th century, where it would eventually spread all over the Caribbean. The way that the Marambula is designed, it kind of looks like a giant box with the same keys and mechanism to bind the keys as the Mbira does. It's basically a cajon-sized Mbira. It's usually tuned in pentatonic, and it's usually in Caribbean bass music. You'll hear it a lot there. Its name changes from kalimba or the marimbol. African slaves of the Caribbean would use any kind of material in order to make these things. The wood shipping crates or boxes of bamboo or old hacksaw blades. The performer is to sit on the box and pluck on the metal tongues while hitting the box, not unsimilar to cajon. Marambula has become quite a popular instrument along with guitars, drums, maracas, and vocals in the churches of the Afro-Cuban area. And with that, we are on to 3 concert pieces. A reason why I wanted to cover this piece is, again, referring back to my goal of introducing repertoire that would be appropriate for a beginner in percussion, mostly to help non-percussionist music educators have resources and a good understanding of how we kind of approach things in the collegiate level of percussion playing. Learning these pieces has a great advantage in terms of applying for colleges and applying for scholarships. Everyone loves four mallet marimba playing of any kind. With that, let's go ahead and move on to, not crickets, monarch butterflies. So earlier I had referred to a piece that was written for one Dr. Barbara Stanford. This is that piece. Monarch was written with the endangered monarch butterfly in mind. Monarch butterflies are very beautiful creatures and have a very unique migration pattern that can either start off in central Mexican highlands or North America, depending on what part of the life cycle they're in. In the springtime, the butterfly will start to travel north. While on that journey, the butterfly will lay eggs, and here's the kind of the interesting thing I found, is that when they lay eggs during the migration, there is something that happens to the egg that turns it into what's called a super monarch butterfly. And this kind of butterfly is missing a hormone known as the juvenile hormone, which prevents aging. So in that situation, the monarch butterfly is able to fly all the way from North America to the Central Highlands in Mexico in one life cycle. And with that, monarch butterflies. We close tonight's information dump with a piece called Crickets. So, what does the average person think of when they think of crickets? For me, I want to go to bed, and these crickets are going insane. Or, crickets are scary looking. Some people, though I don't understand it, can somehow sleep through cricket sounds, and I find that fascinating. So I wondered, why do crickets do that? Why do they make that sound? So, the reasons that crickets make those sounds is because it's their mating call. The crickets use this chirp as an advertisement to grab the attention of a female cricket. The way that the cricket is designed is that underside the cricket's wing, they have a tiny little row of teeth and a hard edge that creates the sound by having the scraper on the wing rub against these teeth. Another reason that the chirp occurs is that the cricket is expressing a sense of anger towards another cricket for territorial or for general reasons. Crickets are weird, man. And I'd like to close this by playing Crickets. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a lovely Wednesday. If you have any questions about Alice Gomez or anything percussion related, really, I'm always available to kind of help also percussion majors, but non-percussion majors as well, kind of understanding and really helping our students in schools get a full picture of what percussion means. Thank you.